All right, y'all, there is a debate in women's basketball about who's going to win the player of the year. And of course, at the top of the list for a lot of people is Caitlyn Clark from the Iowa Hawkeyes. Rightfully so. Caitlyn's having an amazing year. But low key, somebody out west is making this a tough race. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Let's get into it.
Turn that volume up. You know you want it. It's time for Women's Basketball TV with former NCAA champion, WNBA champion, business mogul, and national TV personality, Fran Harris.
A'ja Wilson is a generational talent. We have no one like her in the WNBA.
Bringing you entertaining, on-point analysis.
Did LSU just win the national championship?
Tea and inside scoop on this sport you love.
NIL is going crazy. All I'm saying is if they're making $5 million as a student athlete, can't they pay for their own college? I mean, I'm just asking. It's just a question.
Let's get it.
All right, so Caitlyn Clark. Not a secret to anybody that Caitlyn Clark is the forerunner, the front runner for Player of the Year. Averaging over 30, averaging close to 10 assists, playing some amazing basketball. But who should be the Player of the Year? The person who has the most outstanding performance as an individual, or the player who is not only outstanding individually, but clearly elevates her team to the next level? Or should it be the best player on the best team? What truly defines Player of the Year? Is it the person who's the most hyped? Because if it's the person who's the most hyped, we know who's going to win that. Is it the person who's the most celebrated? Is it the person who had the biggest trajectory since the beginning of the season and their team is doing better? Because what truly defines Player of the Year? I want y'all to answer that. Put that in the comments. What is the Player of the Year? Guess what? It's up to the people who vote who the Player of the Year is. Because everybody has something different in their head. Everybody has something different in their mind. Some people think it's the person who scores the most points. Some people think it's the person who's the most valuable player on her team. Some people think, I could go on. Because the definition of the Player of the Year for you might be very different than it is for the next person, for you, for me. That's crazy. But let's talk about Caitlyn Clark. Caitlyn Clark is having an all-star. If there were all-stars in college, she's having a Player of the Year type of year. Without a question. Having a great year. And she also has another year if she chooses to come back, which if you've watched my channel, you know that I'm saying Caitlyn Clark is not coming back. Why would she? There's no incentive for her to come back to college. Let's stop that. That's not going to happen. But if we look at what Caitlyn Clark has meant to the Iowa Hawkeyes, Iowa does not get to the Final Four last year without Caitlyn Clark. South Carolina might get to the Final Four last year without their superstars, one or two of their superstars, because they're just loaded. Caitlyn Clark last season, yes, we're still talking about last season. Caitlyn Clark last year, Iowa had a really good team, but they're not in the Final Four without Caitlyn Clark. Look at this year, Caitlyn Clark, same thing. I don't know what Iowa's going to do in the Big Ten or in the playoffs, but whatever they do, they will not do it if Caitlyn Clark is not at 100%. Let's keep that a buck. So Caitlyn Clark is, I don't use the word transcendent a whole lot because that sounds kind of deep. I don't use that word a whole lot, but I will say that we have not seen a shooter like Caitlyn Clark in a really long time. Okay, well, you say, well, what is a shooter? Because there are some people who are shooting just as well as she's shooting from the field. They're shooting just as well as she shoots from three-point line. So what makes Caitlyn Clark so special? Well, if you're just joining the show and just joining women's basketball, it's obviously the range. The range is otherworldly. The range is transcendent. The range is like nothing we have seen in women's basketball in a while. And it's not just that Caitlyn Clark can knock down jumpers from the logo. It's that she looks to take jumpers from the logo as if those jumpers are just a normal part of her repertoire. Yeah, that's what makes Caitlyn Clark really special. She's not heaving a last-second desperation shot when she shoots a 30-foot jump shot. These are the shots she practices, and therefore she takes them in the game. Yeah, that makes her real different. We don't have anybody in our game that's doing that. That is one aspect of Caitlyn Clark's game that is unlike anybody else's in our game. So is that transcendent? Yeah, it is. It is. That's not what we typically see. We don't see people shooting 25 to 35 footers on a regular basis. And Caitlyn Clark has learned and figured out how to separate herself from regular shooters. Keep it at a buck. There are regular shooters, and then there's Caitlyn Clark. That's it. I don't want to bring up guys from the NBA, but y'all know who I'm talking about. There are only a few guys from the NBA who have that kind of range. I can think of, 3 or 4 of them. Dame, I wasn't going to bring him up. Dame, Steph. But I can't name one other women's basketball player who shoots from distance the way Caitlyn Clark does. That makes our game very exciting. That makes our game very different. That gives us something else to see in our game. It's entertainment. And that is extremely entertaining. I was at the Final Four in 2023 when Clark and her team were defeating South Carolina. And the shot she was taking, everybody in our suite was looking around like, what in the hell is going on? Nobody, and we watched her all season. Nobody in that suite, and it's basketball luminaries, coaches, Division I women's basketball coaches, Hall of Fame coaches, little girls, husbands, wives, whatever. Nobody in that suite thought that Caitlyn Clark would shoot that way in the Final Four. I don't know why. It's still so novel. It's still so different that it shocks you. And that's also what makes it entertaining. So we're sitting in the suite and she heaves this I know it was 38 feet. It was just over half court. A jumper just over half court at the Final Four in 2023 in Dallas, my hometown, by the way. And everybody just looked around each other. We didn't even say anything. We just went, come on, man. That's what you say. That's what athletes say when it's so ridiculous. We just look at each other and we go, come on, man. That's not even, did that just happen? So making the case for Caitlyn Clark to be Player of the Year is not difficult. But I just wanted to break down why it's so different to be Caitlyn Clark. And how she has, I'm going to tell you, this is a little business lesson here, a little branding, a little marketing lesson. Figure out a way to make yourself so different. You are one of one. Caitlyn Clark is one of one. There is nobody like her in our game. Think about that. Who can you compare in the game this season to Caitlyn Clark? I'll wait. You can't. She has separated herself through distance. Now, think about this, basketball heads. If Caitlyn Clark removed the 25 to 35 footers from her game, we could talk about comparisons all day. We really could. There are people who pass as well as she does. There are people who handle the point as well as she does. There are people who shoot really well from the field. But nobody shoots 25 to 35 footers better than Caitlyn Clark. The entertainment factor off the charts. The I dare you to shoot that factor off the charts. So that's what makes Caitlyn Clark very different. One of one in our game. Don't care if you like her. Don't care if you love her. I don't care about any of that. I speak the truth. I keep it a buck. And there's literally no parity when it comes to long range shooting in women's basketball with Caitlyn Clark. She's one of one. All right. But that doesn't necessarily mean that she's Player of the Year this year. Because there's a little known, very well known guard on the West Coast, just a freshie, who's balling outrageous right now. Juju Watkins is as advertised. Juju Watkins is, in my opinion, If you remove Caitlyn from the equation, the best women's basketball player in the 23-24 season. Without a doubt. It's not even close. And the fact that she is a freshie and doing what she's doing, 30 points here, 30 points there, 30 points here, leading her team to big buckets and big wins. The fact that she is doing it as a freshman, entertainment factor off the charts. Off the charts. Off the freaking charts. Juju Watkins is so skilled. I won't say she is, but she is definitely top 3, the most skilled players in our game, including Caitlyn Clark. When you want to talk about skills, Juju Watkins has 0 deficiencies in her game. 0. 6'1", point guard, take it to the hole, shoot the three-pointer, shoot the mid-range, dish the dime. I don't care. Give me a category. Juju Watkins can do it. No deficiencies in her game. I haven't seen a freshman guard like Juju Watkins in a long time. Impact. Yes, I've seen some freshmen who had that kind of impact. Cheryl Miller had that kind of impact at USC when she was a freshman. Maya Moore had that kind of impact at Connecticut as a freshman. Candace Parker, Rory Harmon. I can name 20 people who had great impact as a freshman. But I have never seen a freshman take over a game and lead a team like Juju Watkins. All right, let's break down her game. We talked about her ability she plays point guard, yes. But she's so much more than a point guard, because you can't step off of Juju Watkins because she's going to dot that I. She's going to make you pay if you step off of her. You disrespect her mid-range, she's going to go by you. You don't think she can shoot the 3? She's going to shoot it anyway. Just her competitive nature has her nailing threes and nailing long-range jumpers, because you don't disrespect Juju Watkins and get away with it. Juju Watkins' handles are so elite. That makes sense, right? Off-season preparing, she has worked out with the elite of the elite. Her basketball trainer, her pickup game against NBA players. And for the record, everybody who's listening to me who's played against really good players, doesn't matter whether they're women or men, you know you have to up your game. And when you're playing against elite defenders, people who are bigger, taller, quicker, stronger, more powerful, more skilled than you are, which is what Juju Watkins has done. If you want to Google her workouts, you can do that. You get better. And so Juju Watkins has been preparing for this moment for the last 4 years, probably since she was, playing basketball in middle school, in elementary school. Her handles, elite. Her court sense, her IQ is, I don't throw the word elite around a lot, but it's other level. It's otherworldly. Her ability to read the defense, and not just read the defense, but make game time, in the moment decisions, the right decisions. Sometimes when you have a whole lot of talent, sometimes that talent is not refined. It is a little raw. It's a little rough. There is nothing rough about Juju Watkins' game. She is a commander at the point guard. And the fact that she's 6'1", playing against smaller defenders a lot, even when they have bigger people guarding her, she can go by them. She's nifty around the basket. I mean, you have to be a hater, or somebody paid you to find something wrong with Juju Watkins' game. She's that good. She is that good. And it's going to be hard to give the Player of the Year award to somebody not named Juju Watkins, because she's that good. Just like it's going to be difficult to give the award of Player of the Year, Best Women's Basketball College Player of the Year award, to somebody not Caitlyn Clark. It's hard to ignore these two players. It's hard to find deficiencies in their game. They're that good. But if it came down to it, and you had to make the decision between Juju Watkins and Caitlyn Clark, who are you going with and why?
Thanks for tuning in to Women's Basketball TV with Fran Harris, the most provocative and entertaining women's basketball show on earth. Be sure to click that like, share and notification button so you don't miss a moment. We'll see you tomorrow.